Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 52 of the video series in which we program an entire video game from scratch in the C programming language. So it has been about a week since my last episode. I apologize for that. We have some catching up to do. I am going to start as usual by addressing some of the comments that I received since last time. Okay, starting with this comment. I remember from last time I had a really good, technically detailed comment about RDTSC, and we've talked about RDTSC many times on this channel in many different episodes. But, I like this commenter, and this is a well thought out comment from him, so I don't really have any disagreements or comments about it. I don't think so. I'll just read it in its entirety. This commenter says, "Thanks for addressing my comment. When I said RDTSC is good for measuring cycles, I didn't mean it was good for measuring time. You pointed that out correctly. RDTSC is purely for measuring the amount of bare work the CPU has to do in order to execute a certain piece of code. It tells you nothing about the time." I agree with that. Now suppose you are measuring performance of some code. You would use Agner-Fogg's tables, great resource, and Intrinsics guide to tell you how much time every operation takes on average, then sum it all up. Okay, we have already looked at the Intel Intrinsics guide a few times. I showed you just last time how you can find the figures on latency and throughput for each intrinsic function, how well those functions perform on a given CPU. And based on that, it can help you make decisions on how to best optimize your code. But one thing that we have never looked at is Agner-Fogg's tables. So I'm literally just going to copy that, and I'm going to do a little web search for that. And I'm going to click on the first result, agner.org, instruction tables. This is an amazing document by Agner-Fogg, Technical University of Denmark. Let's just go down here a little ways. So I'll give you a taste as to what this document is all about. All of these different types of processors are tested, and each operation or each instruction is tested on each one of these different CPUs. And for example, for each one of these assembly instructions, you get a number of operations, you get a latency, you get reciprocal throughput, execution unit, all this kind of stuff, and some extra notes. So as you could tell, like not every assembly instruction is the same. Like for example, a move instruction, a very simple move instruction of moving a value from one location to another register, one op. But if you look at some of these more complicated instructions, some of them start taking up actually huge amounts of ops. So even though it looks like it's just one assembly instruction, don't assume that something like a push A is just as fast as a move. So there you have it. And it just goes on and on, lists every basic instruction that you would use, and measures them each in terms of speed, number of ops, latency. Pretty great stuff. And this is like one of these things that if you are really into this sort of low-level optimization, is going to be something that you have saved, and it's a document that you're going to reference a lot. It's really, really cool document. Let's continue the comment. He says, "Now, what you have is an estimation of how much cycles your processor needs to execute in order to complete the task you've given it. How do you compare that? How do you compare to that number? You use a function that tells you how much processor cycles actually passes in between 2 points. If you suddenly find out that this number is bigger, you would look at assembly to see what your code actually does. For example, a compiler might have found that there wasn't enough registers to perform the operation, so there were extra memory loads inserted. This can potentially slow down your code by 20 to 100 cycles, especially if processor misses cache. The underline is, it's not the time, it's work that correlates with time, but doesn't linearly represent it. If your processor has constant cycle rate, the correlation is linear, meaning making 2 times fewer cycles makes it 2 times faster. Otherwise, it might not necessarily be true, but the code will get faster. It's just that we may not know by how much. Okay, I mean, that's just a great comment. I really don't have anything about it. I really don't have any arguments. And that's what I feel what we're doing with the FPS measurements that we're taking. You've seen me sit here several episodes, and I start with 1 FPS value. I do some optimizations that I feel are warranted, and then by the end of the episode, you can see that my FPS, my frames per second, has gone up. That is me knowing that the optimizations that I have done had a positive effect. I can't tell you exactly how many cycles per frame that I've saved because I'm not measuring cycles per frame. But I can tell you that it's relatively better. The code is relatively better because my FPS is higher. So way on down the road, if I feel like we need to get into this sort of low level optimization, even lower level, because like I don't think that what we've been doing so far is low level optimization. I consider all of the vectorization that we've done is to be relatively high level optimization. And I think that given the very basic, simple nature of this video game in terms of it is not going to be very demanding on the hardware. I don't think that will ever really need to do any further low-level optimization unless we just get bored, or B, we need to port this code to run on like a wristwatch or something that has an extremely low-powered processor. But until then, I'm going to hold off on any further micro optimizations. I feel like 2000 FPS, 2000 plus FPS is enough for now. Let's just hold off on further optimizations for now, for the time being. We may do more optimizations later on down the road, but for now, let's just continue on with the game itself. Okay, next comment. He says, when I implement the alpha equals 255, my entire sprite goes away. And what he's talking about is in blit 32 bits per pixel bitmap from, blit 32 BPP bitmap to buffer. Let's skip the vectorized code because we've already talked about the vectorized code. When you get down here to the non-vectorized version, and remember, I actually have this non-vectorized version working in the alongside the vectorized version because as I paint each row, each line in the bitmap, I do it in batches of 8 pixels or 4 pixels as far as I can until I reach the point where I no longer have. There are fewer than 8 pixels or 4 pixels remaining on that row. So at the very end of the row, I just finish off each row with non-vectorized code. And this is what I have highlighted. This is that non-vectorized code. And essentially, I'm not doing alpha blending. I'm just doing a pure measure of opaqueness. And I just say, hey, look, if the pixel is 100% opaque, meaning it has an alpha value of 255, then I'm going to take it, I'm going to paste it into the back buffer. I'm going to paste it into the back buffer. If it has an alpha value of anything other than 255, then it gets completely skipped. Do not draw it. I'm not drawing any sort of like shades of translucence, nothing like that. I'm just doing pure opaqueness like that. So the commenter saying when he tries this, his bitmap goes away. Like the entire sprite goes away. And my first gut instinct is that he's probably not using 32-bit per pixel bitmap. He's probably using, say, a 24 bits per pixel bitmap. And a 24 bits per pixel bitmap does not support an alpha channel. And plus, this game, and nowhere in this game have we set this up to support. This game currently does not support 24 or 16 or 8 or any other kind of bits per pixel bitmap right now. We could write something to support 24 bits per pixel bitmaps if we wanted to, but right now, the game, as we have it currently written, only supports 32 bits per pixel bitmaps, and that is it. And I know that can be tricky because most of like the most common tools like Paint, like Microsoft Paint right here, Microsoft Paint, you can draw in it and all this kind of stuff, but you cannot save it. You cannot save a 32-bit bit per pixel. Like you can do 16 color, 256 color, 24-bit bitmap, but there's no 32-bit. There is no 32 bits per pixel bitmap here. Funny enough, Microsoft Paint is able to read a 32-bit per pixel bitmap, but it cannot write out a 32-bit per pixel bitmap. So don't even try. There are multiple ways that you can get a 32 bits per pixel bitmap. I chose to use Paint.net. Paint.net is free, but you don't have to use Paint.net. You can use other tools such as Photoshop or GIMP or I don't know, whatever else works for you. But in Paint.net, there is a third-party plugin. And by the way, the same commenter, he leaves another comment that says, I realized I was using a BMP that had white pixels instead of fully transparent ones. However, BMP doesn't support an alpha channel. I commented on episode 14 with my whole issue. Let me go and look at his other issue. Okay, I see it. He says, how do I save my sprite as a Bmpx? I personally use the plugin for Paint.net, which you can find right here at this in this forum. I literally just searched the web for Paint.net 32 bits per pixel plugin, and this is the first hit that I got that came up, is this forums.getpaint.net link. And he says, thank you so much for answering, and sorry to bother, but I am still unable to save it as a Bmpx file. I think the link you provided is outdated. I put it in and it didn't work. Doesn't even contain a DLL. I was simply using a 32-bit BMP until it stopped working when I wanted to replace the white pixels surrounding my sprite with transparent ones. Then I found the BMP file doesn't support alpha channel. Now I don't know what to do. Okay, so I told this commenter that I would show him step by step. This is how I'm going to do it. Search for 32-bit per pixel Paint.net plugin. You get to this forum right here, and he says, here it is right here. Here's a download. BMP 32 Paint.net file type.zip. You can even download the source code yourself if you want. I'm going to download it. Okay, now I'm going to show in folder. Now notice the file has like this weird sort of, I don't know what this is, some sort of GUID or something that doesn't make any sense. That's I think a bug from this forum software. I don't know what the problem is, but I have a hunch. I'm going to go ahead and rename this file to .zip. See, I think the commenter probably just dropped this file directly into his Paint.net directory, and that's why it didn't work. Okay, so do this. Put add.zip onto the end of it. Now open it as a zip file. Boom. There's your DLL file right there. Okay. I want you to copy that DLL file. Then I want you to go find your paint.net directory, which is, I don't even know, is probably, maybe it's in Program Files x86. Where are you? There it is. Program Files, paint.net. You go to File Types. Now, I've already got a copy in there, but File Types, you paste that DLL file, replace the file. Yeah, okay. Can't be completed because I'm using it. Let me close this. Try again. Okay, copied it. It is copied. And I'm going to go ahead and hit unblock on it to strip the error occurred while applying attributes. Too many posts were made to a semaphore. That's awesome. I don't know what that means. Don't care. Let's go see if it works. Paint.net. I'm going to first select all, delete for transparency's sake, and then I'm going to draw like a thing here that's like a rounded rectangle that's filled in as red, and then I'm going to make a circle or an ellipse. Here's a green hexagon, and here's a blue or octagon, whatever, and here's a blue arrow. All right, now I'm going to save this. I'm going to save it onto the desktop, and I'm going to drop down menu 32-bit bitmap image, Bmpx, untitled.bmpx, save. There you have it. Untitled.bmpx, properties. It's almost 3 megabytes. And open it. There it is. That is a 32 bits per pixel bitmap. Okay? So, that's me just trying to be helpful to this commenter. Let us continue on now with another comment. I think this is the last comment. He says, "Hello, Ryan. I was wondering a few things since I started the project. First of all, I am a beginner in programming, and I already learned a lot thanks to your videos, so thanks. Thus, I can make silly mistakes or even ask idiot questions. When I started the project, I did nearly the same settings that you did in Visual Studio. However, in my C users, username, source, repos, GB, I don't have a X64 file like you, so I'm going to import each file using the whole address because the settings you have shown I can make them. Is it problematic? Also, I don't know if this is going to complicate my life in the forthcoming episodes, but my winMain function didn't work, so I am using, since the first episode, intMain. Apart from that, everything works like you, and I am very happy to follow you in this project. I have followed you on Twitter. Very inspiring. Thank you very much." Okay. Yes, you are going to have problems, to answer your question. Now, when you said earlier, you said, when I started the project, I did nearly the same settings that you did. I would personally recommend that you go back and watch those episodes again and do exactly as I did in those original episodes. Not nearly, but exactly. So he's saying he doesn't have he's missing some directories. Let's go and look at my GameB directory. I suppose I can close these. Let's look at my GameB directory. He says he's missing this X64 folder. That X64 folder will not exist until two conditions are met. A, you need to do this. Right-click on your solution properties, go to the properties, and make sure this output directory and intermediate directory, make sure they look exactly like this. I modified them both. And make sure that the change applies to all configurations and all platforms, not just Win32, not just X64, but all platforms. It needs to look just like this. And if you know what you're doing, You can do it any way you want, but this is how I prefer to do it. So if you don't know what you're doing, I recommend that you make yours look just like this. So the second thing that needs to happen before you get that X64 directory is you need to make sure you're actually compiling in X64 mode. If this X64 directory right here will not actually appear until after you compile this project and get some actual output. So you need to make sure that you compile X64 and do an actual build of the solution. Then the X64 directory should pop up. Second question, his when main function did not work. So main.c, let's go to when main. There's the when main, and you didn't elaborate, the commenter didn't elaborate on how exactly the when main function didn't work, but I will assure you that you have to use when main and not int main. And the difference I covered in one of the very first episodes. Whether if you're making a console program that's for the command prompt like this, if you're making a command line program that runs in the command prompt like this, then you can use int main if you want. But if you're going to make a Windows app that makes use of the Windows GUI subsystem or makes use of GDI, either one or both, something like, you're going to need to use when main. And there's something else in here that you need to do as well. If you right click on your solution and go to properties, you need to make sure that if you go down to, I think it's in linker, I think it is there. This is important. You need to make sure this, where in linker system, and if you go to subsystem, you need to make sure that this is targeted to Windows and not console. Make sure it's on Windows. Okay. Whenever you set the subsystem to Windows, it tells the linker to link against other libraries that are specific to Windows, and it tells it makes the entry point of your application go to when main instead of int main and all this kind of stuff. It basically sets it up so that you can use the Windows API basically, and not just writing a console program or command line program. Okay, how are we on time? 22 minutes. I think that's all the comments. Yes, that is all the comments. So I think today, in terms of programming, we're probably going to take it easy today, and I don't think I'm going to be introducing any groundbreaking new concepts. Probably just going to I'm doing one of two things. I want to fix the escape key so that when I hit the escape key, instead of exiting from the overworld completely, it goes back to the main menu. And I think I also want to implement a new system where, and this is just for debug testing, if I press the escape key, it will take me back to the main menu. But if I hold the escape key down, it will immediately exit the game after a few seconds. And I think that will come in handy just for development purposes, for debug purposes. So I'll go ahead and do that. If I go to overworld.c and I go to process player input, right here where it says if escape key is down and escape key was down is false, then I immediately exit the game. Okay, I no longer want to do that. Instead, I want to set previous game state to G current game state, and I want to set G current game state to game state title screen, right? Because if I hit escape in the overworld, I think the only thing I want to do, like the only valid action I can take at this point, is to go back to the title screen. All right, so let's try that. So notice how it's loading new symbols. That's probably because Windows Updates has run since the last time I recorded a video. And new modules means new symbols. All right, start. Name your character. All right, there's our guy. Everything looks fine. Sorry, that's the battle state. Okay. I hit the escape key. It took us back to the title screen. I need to fix that. And I think this is resume. I'm not sure what this is. I know we left this in a half-baked state, and that's why I want to fix it today. Let's look at menus. Do I have a... No, it's in title screen.h maybe? No, it's in title screen.c. Yes, it is. Okay, I have resume. I have start new game. I have options. I have exit. Okay. I want to make some changes here. I want to add some stuff. First, I want to add menu. GMI load saved game. Load saved game. And we are going to place it in the center of the screen, just like we have everything else. Minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 characters, 6 pixels per character, divided by 2. Should put this right smack dab in the middle of the screen. Okay, so that's at 100 pixels. The next one down is at 115. The next one down is at 130. The next one down is at 145. The next one down is at 160. True, I believe this is enabled. And then we need a function pointer, which we haven't created yet. I'm going to call it menu item, title screen, load, saved game. Copy that. But go back to title screen.h. Make a new function declaration. And now we need to make the definition for it in title screen.c. Okay. Now I'm going to leave this as a blank. This is blank for now because I don't actually have the logic ready for actually loading a saved game, so I'm just going to leave that alone for now. Resume also I'm leaving that alone. Okay. Now I'm going to go to Draw Title Screen. And I'm going to go investigate why that one thing, why the resume thing was not showing up. Lit string to buffer. Game name for oh, you know what? I'm not done. Hold up. I am not done with this because this needs to go. There we go. I need to put this new load saved game into this array here. So resume, start new game, and then this one will be load saved game. Looks good. Looks good. Okay, now back to draw title screen. Okay, if the menu item is enabled, then I'm going to draw, which means it's not enabled. So here's what I need to do. See, if I go back up here to where resume is first defined, it's initially set to not activated or not enabled. And the reason why is because if I have just booted up the game and the game has not started yet, I haven't started a new game yet, then resume doesn't make sense, has no meaning yet. So resume only needs to be activated or enabled after I've started a new game. Let's go to where is it? Where is it? Character naming screen, right? Character naming screen. Once I name my character, let's do OK button. Okay, there, it's right here. So once I hit OK on the character naming screen, assuming that the player name length is greater than 0, then I'm going to transition to the overworld. gplayer.active equals true, and here we do gmi title screen, which I can't access from here, can I? Interesting. Okay. We could play it like that. Let's do something different. So in here, I wanted to set the resume menu item to enabled right here, but I can't access it from here. I mean, I could change things around to make that other menu item accessible from here, but instead of moving code around, let's just approach the problem from another way. Why don't I instead do this? Instead, why don't I do title screen, draw title screen. Here we go. Here we go. This is the point in the title screen where, remember, if I have left the game state, the title screen game state, and come back to it at a later time, that this block of code will be triggered, right? Because like if I've rendered more frames than the last frame seen in this game state locally, that means that the user has come back to this game state after being away from it at some point. And this is my trigger to like reset all of my local state to like sort of like restart this this game state from scratch. So I do things like reset menu items, I reset my text fading color so that I can make the text fade over again. Okay, so what if I just go here, if gplayer.active equals true, then gmi resume gmi resume game IntelliSense. Can't live with it, can't live without it. Dot enabled equals true. Okay. Okay. Let's run it. See what happens. See now the game hasn't started, so there is no resume game. Obviously, load saved game doesn't do anything right now, but nice to have you along for the ride. Start new game. Name my character. Okay. Here's my dude. Now I'm going to hit escape. And now resume is here. So what I need to do is I need to implement from here. If I hit start new game from here, I'll say, I need to say, hey, you've already started, you already have a game like currently running. Are you sure you want to start over from scratch? Same thing with load save game is I need to be like, hey, there's already a game running. Are you sure you want to load another game? So I'll make another couple of new, game states for that. Some a little yes no system, just like this yes no system. Easy stuff that we've already covered. So when I hit resume, I should probably just go straight back to the overworld. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do mi menu item title screen resume. Let's just do g previous game. Why did it do that? G previous game state. That annoys me so much. Oh no, it's passable tiles. So I hit the tab too soon. It's like I'm working too quickly for Visual Studio. It can't keep up with my spicy fast fingers. So I have to do GP and then just like wait for like a good second for it to figure out what I really want to type, and then I can do use tab completion. Very annoying. G current game state and G current game state equals game state overworld. Let's go back to here. I'm sure it will work fine, but let's go ahead and test it. Remember, the bright green screen is just a random monster encounter. We'll fix that next time. Yeah, it's working just fine. Okay. While we're here, let's do start new. Oh, look, and I already had a to-do here for this, right? If a game is already in progress, this should prompt the user if they are sure that they want to start a new game first, because they will lose any unsaved progress if they do that. Otherwise, just go to the character naming screen. So in this moment of prescience, whenever I first wrote this, I knew that this was going to come up later. So we'll do if gplayer.active, right? I guess that's our best way of telling if a game is currently in progress or not. We'll do a little if-else action here. If there's already a game going, then we need to do another state change. Previous game state equals G current game state, and then G current game state equals game state. We don't have a game state for this yet, so we're going to make one, and we're going to call it start new game, are you sure? Is that too verbose? Maybe a little too long. Maybe just new game, are you sure? That sounds good. Alright, so probably main.h would be where all those game states are. Actually, wait, let me copy this. We go to main.h. We'll go to, here we go. We're making a new game state. Okay. So we'll just do add a new item here. New header file. New game are you sure.h right there, and source file, add new item, C file, new game are you sure.c, add. And we're going to just make these like every other game state, where we are going to include main.h, and we're going to include new game are you sure.h. We're going to make a draw new game are you sure function, and we're going to make a PPI underscore process player input new game are you sure. Okay, and these can go here in this header file. And let's see, I am going to copy these things out of here, put them here. New game are you sure.c. Okay, looks good. We'll do the same thing with the header file. New game are you sure.h. Sorry, I'm just trying to be excruciatingly consistent here. All right, this is fine. This is fine. We'll go to main.c. We'll go to render frame graphics. Make a case for it down here. Oh, we're in main.c. I need to make sure and include come on now, include new game are you sure.h contains declarations that are specific to the are you sure you want to start a new game screen. I don't know why the indiff popped up there. Now, back to render frame graphics. Now, back to the switch case. Let's make a case for, in case we are at game state, new game, are you sure? Then we're going to draw new game, are you sure? And we're going to break. Do the same with process player input. Sorry, back to main.c, back to process player input. Process player input. Yada, yada, yada. Here we go. Let's make a case for it. Game state new game. Are you sure? PPI new game. Are you sure? Break. Save all that. Most of this stuff doesn't need to be here right now. It's really in my way. All right, where are we? New game, are you sure? Now, this game state is going to be extremely similar to the exit yes no screen, right? So it's going to end up being like very, very similar. So first I'm going to make the menu and I'm going to stick it right here. I'm going to rename these things because obviously we can't have the same name here. New game, are you sure? Yes. There's a yes, center screen, it's enabled, and it goes to new game, are you sure? And we need a no. It's going to look like that. Center screen. We need a function pointer for it. And then finally we have a collection of menu items, an array of menu items that we're going to call new game are you sure items. And it's going to be comprised of a yes and a no. And then finally we need a menu, exit yes, no, and it's going to be called are you sure you want to start a new game? Okay, using the count of all of these menu items, and then we need the collection itself. That should do it. Now we need to define these things, yes and no. I'm going to do that in the H header file. we go. There we go. There we go. I'm going to go back to exit yes no screen, and I'm going to copy this stuff up because it's going to be identical. Yeah, I mean, this function is almost identical, so I'm just going to copy it out of here, and I'm going to put it in here. Whoops. Select all of this, back it up a little. Okay, static, local frame counter, last frame seen, text color, local frame counter, text color. The one thing we need to do here is we need to reset the G menu new game. Are you sure? Dot selected item is back to 0, and no, it's back to 1 because we want the answer to default to no because we don't want anyone to accidentally start a new game if they don't mean to. So I'm going to have it start on no instead of on yes. Okay, mem set, which is just clear the screen to black, and then on frame 10 we make the text brighter. On frame 20 we make the text brighter. On frame 30 we make the text brighter. On frame 40 we make the text full white, and we also re-enable input. Oop. G menu new game. Are you sure? Okay, so paste. Come on. X. New game. Are you sure? Here we go. New game, are you sure? New game, are you sure? New game, are you sure? Local frame counter +1. Okay. Did that. Did that. Oh, there's one other thing I want to do. Is right after I print the title, which is "Are you sure you want to start a new game?" I think I also want to print something like all unsaved progress will be lost. Let's just call it progress will be lost string. All unsaved progress will be lost. Okay. IntelliSense being awesome. Okay, there, string length, that thing. And we need a new 60, 70, or 75. Okay. All right, now let's do player input. Again, we're just going to basically copy this out of exit yes no, I believe. So right there. New game, are you sure? You just need to change all of these references to this menu. New game, are you sure? New game, are you sure? Okay. Now, if I choose no, then I want to do previous game state equals G current game state. And I want to set G current game state. I hate IntelliSense. G current game state equals game state title screen, right? Because that it's just sending us back to the title screen. The title screen is the only place where we could have gotten here. So, all right, but if we get here, we need to reset everything, including reset hero to all defaults. And we're about out of time, so I don't know if we're going to have time to do that today. So I'm going to mark it with a to-do. And yeah, this is going to be something like, I have a function in my main called Initialize Globals. And inside the Initialize Globals function, I may just, okay, so I have a function called Initialize Hero. So maybe that's just what I do. And, you know, like reset his, you know, gplayer.hp, reset it back to 20 or however much our starting XP is going to be, and gplayer. What is it, gold money equals 0, you know, reset all these things. Yeah, so maybe now I can just do, from here I can call initialize hero, initialize hero, don't forget to clear, I need to clear like all of the sound cues, like if there was music currently playing, I need to make sure and flush that. So don't let me forget to do that. And then finally, we'll do G previous game state equals G current game state, and G current game state, G current game state equals game state overworld. It'll be just like we're starting a new game. Let's see if this works. Start new game, name my character, skip these random battle encounters, go in here. Now at this point, okay, problem number one is when I get back here, I need to pause the music. I'm going to do that now. I am doing that right now. Okay, initialize hero. Leave that alone for now. Main.c, not mini-z, but main.z. I have play game music, play game sound. Music is playing. How do I pause it? So maybe I make a new function here and I call it pause music. Because I might want to resume the music, right? So whatever is playing, I'm going to pause it. GX audio music source voice function table. Okay, so I have a destroy, disable, discontinuity, enable, exit loop, flush source buffers. That could probably come in handy later. Question: is there a pause? Start, stop. Okay, stop. I think if I stop it, that does pause it. I think that, and I'm just going off of memory here, so I could be wrong, but I think if I stop the music, it does actually pause it. But if I stop the music and then flush the buffer, that means that the next time I go to play, we'll start the music over from the beginning. That is my hope anyway. Flags, operation set. I'm gonna have to look this up because I don't remember. Okay, X audio 2, stop. Source voice, stop. Flags, operation, continue emitting sound effects. So like if there's like a reverb or something, it'll keep playing it, which I don't care about that. So I don't need any flags. Identifies this call as part of a deferred batch. See the X audio to operation sets overview. All source buffers that are queued on the voice and the current cursor position are preserved. This allows the voice to continue from where it left off. Use flush source buffers can be used to flush queued buffers. So it's just like I said, if we stop it, it's the same as pausing it. Okay. And is that right? Stop. We have a source voice. We have a uint32 flags and a uint32 operation set. So 0 on both of these. Right? Now, in contrast, we have a stop music function, which is going to look just like this, but it's also going to additionally flush buffers. Audio, music, source, voice, virtual table, flush source buffers. and all I need is this, which is GX audio music source voice. That's all there is to it right there. Pause music, stop music, pause music. Let's put these declarations in main.h. Main.h. Let's put them next to our other thingies, our other things that are related to music. Pause music, and it takes nothing and returns nothing. And stop music. Okay, there you have it. Pause music, stop music, pause music, stop music. That's fine. Now, let's do overworld.c. Process player input. Here we go. Now, pause music. That ought to do it. That's a problem. No function prototype given, I think. Wait, no, it's not a problem. It's just that I didn't put a void here, which I will proceed to do now. No problem. Okay, back at it. Name our character. There's the music playing. We hit escape. The music is paused. Start new game. Are you sure you want to start a new game? All unsaved progress will be lost. No or yes, no or yes. Click on no, takes me back to the title screen. I hit resume. Music never starts again. So we'll have to fix that next. Aha. So, see, I thought that this was supposed to work when, in my overworld game state, when local frame counter equals 60, I thought my music would resume playing, but it checks this. And apparently, because I had just paused the music, alright, so how do you tell if you have something on pause? Music is playing. Music is playing equals false. Let's go look at that. Main.c, pause music, stop music, play game music. Music is playing. Voice state. So if there are buffers queued, then I return true. Otherwise, I return false. Okay. Well, this kind of stinks because what else is in my state here? Buffers queued, current buffer context, number of buffers currently queued on the voice. Really? But you won't tell me if it's currently playing or not? Can you not tell me if audio, music, source voice, table, exit loop, flag, get channel volumes, parameters, effect, filter, frequency, get state, get voice details maybe? Set, start, stop, submit source buffer. Well, that's annoying. Because music, because I have buffers queued, but the music is not playing. Right? So that annoys me, and that is a bug that we're going to have to fix, but we're already over time, so I can't fix it today. I'm going to have to leave it with a to-do. Music, let's see. This function currently returns true even if there is music that is paused. Because even when the music is paused, there is still a buffer in the queue. Need to differentiate between when music is paused versus when there is really no music queued. Something along those lines. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the episode because we're over time. So, as usual, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy this sort of content, you want to keep seeing this game being developed, then please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, etc. Don't forget that we have a GitHub repository to go along with these videos. That GitHub repository serves as companion material so that you can clone the repository and follow along at home. Finally, don't forget, well, if you have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to leave your comments or questions on the videos. They can be about anything. I will address any interesting questions or comments in an upcoming episode. So, once again, thank you very much for watching. Signing off. See you in a few days. Bye.